Hey everybody, welcome back to Church Talk. We're talking about everything involving the local church. My name is Rob, and today we're going to be giving 3 tips on leading worship from the acoustic guitar. All right, today we're talking about leading worship from the acoustic guitar. I may dive into this a little bit more on a future video, but today I'm going to give 3 simple tips on leading from the acoustic guitar. Now, I think tip number 1 is really important. No matter if you're on a big stage, small stage, only guitar, single guitar in a huge mix of huge band, it's very important. Number 1, make sure that you are in tune. Many guitars have a built-in tuner. This one here does not. This is a Taylor and does not have a built-in tuner, but I do have this clip-on tuner. I think we bought this kind of as a souvenir. We were down in Tennessee, down in Pigeon Forge area, and I went into a really nice guitar shop, and they had some very expensive guitars that I was hoping to buy something while I was down there in that very expensive shop. And really the only thing that I could really come away with that was within my price range was a simple little tuner. But they make them in all different price ranges, a bunch of different makes and models, but this one is the Diodario. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll try to show that to you. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this one's just a simple little Diodario, and it clips onto your headstock, and you press the button and it tells you if your string is in pitch or not. So if I can turn this around to where you guys can see it, I don't know if you all can see this or not, but when I play that, it gives you a readout of where we are. And I've not tuned this yet today, so I don't know. It should still be in tune from yesterday, but we'll see real fast. It's a little bit out. And as far as tuning your guitar, I would suggest also that when you are tuning and you hit a string and it's a little bit sharp or flat, I would loosen that string up first and then come back up to where it needs to be. Sometimes they can just kind of stick where they are, and when you tighten them, sometimes they can tend to want to snap on you, or they will not move until they break free, and then you're way too sharp, and then you got to go back down. So it's always a good common practice to, when you're tuning, if it is out of tune, loosen it just a little bit, let it go quite a bit flat, and then tighten back up to where you need to be. But number 1, make certain that your guitar is in tune before you get started. You don't want to forget that and get up on stage and right before worship, now you're tuning your guitar and everybody hears you going through your, or tuning it by ear, and you're up here trying to do that number. And there's nothing wrong with tuning it by ear if you're really good at it. But make sure that your guitar is in tune before you get started. Now there's times when, like during rehearsals, I won't tune it. I'll just kind of listen to it by ear. Yeah, it's pretty close. So we'll run through our set just for time's sake, and then afterwards I'll make sure that it's in tune, several minutes before we head up on stage for worship. So when I say several minutes, I mean like a half hour or more. So that I'm not up there tuning while people are coming in, while people are talking or whatever. So make sure your guitar is in tune, and that you develop your ear to also hear your guitar when it goes out. If you need to tune during service or something like that you can. But if you're leading from the acoustic, you're not going to be able to do that. If you're just playing the acoustic, you kind of have that opportunity. If you hear it go out, you can put your clip tuner on, mute yourself, and make sure you're in tune. But if you're leading, you cannot do that. You just kind of have to flow with it and try maybe to not hit the string that's out of tune if it's out that much. But that is a different video. So tip number one would be make sure your guitar is in tune before you get started. All right, tip number two is you do not have to be the loudest instrument on the stage. And this really goes for every instrument. I mean, electric guitar, keyboard, drums, doesn't matter. You don't have to be the loudest instrument there. You want to be in a good mix. And the thing about the acoustic guitar is a lot of times you can't hear it in the mix until it's gone. When it's gone, then you realize, oh man, what's missing? Oh, it was the acoustic. So sometimes it's hard to pick out an acoustic guitar in a full mix. But most of the time, you're hearing the acoustic at the very beginning of a song when it's starting off by an acoustic guitar. Or if you're leading from the acoustic, a lot of times, I will start most songs off by the acoustic. Starting to do a little bit more so with the keyboards now, but many times I'll start it off with the acoustic because I'm leading the song. I'm leading it, so I would start it by the acoustic anyway. And a lot of our time in worship, it's been only the acoustic guitar. So I'll make another video about that, about leading only with an acoustic, because it's a little bit different. But when you're in a band, sometimes you can't hear the acoustic in the mix, and that's okay, because it's not that you can't hear it, you just can't pick it out, because many times the acoustic is such a kind of a middle of the ground foundational type of instrument to where a lot of other things are built up on it, and you can't really, sometimes you just have a hard time picking it out in a lot of worship music and in a lot of styles. Now, in some styles, the acoustic is very prevalent. It's very, if it's not there, the music doesn't sound right because it's created with that acoustic being in the forefront. But in a lot of worship settings, the acoustic guitar almost disappears when everything else comes in. But the moment that acoustic guitar just quits playing, like, oh man, I miss it. So don't feel like you have to be the loudest instrument. Let your sound tech and your sound engineers and whoever you have running your sound, trust them enough that they're trying to get the very best mix and what sounds the best to the congregation and putting it out to people online. So when you listen back to it, or when you're in your in-ears, you may be louder, of course, but when you listen to it in the congregation, or you listen to it in a playback or whatever, don't think that you have to be in the forefront. You might just be down in the mix somewhere, and that's okay. Tip number 3 is that your strum patterns matter. So what I mean by that is, like, if I'm in a G and we're playing, softly, I'm not going to play this up and down pattern. I may just do that same, just a down strum only, and hit that up strum maybe on just the change of a note. So we don't want to be just strumming along real hard all the time. We want to play dynamically in what the song is needing. So when we're starting off a song, now if you're starting it and it's a real strong acoustic led song, maybe that needs to be done. But you can also think of the acoustic guitar as a drum as well. And I don't mean a drum where I've seen a lot of people, they're beating on their guitars and they're playing their guitars and it sounds like a whole band and they're super talented, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you're leading worship, or you're on a worship team playing acoustic guitar. We want to play to the best of our ability, but we want to play what fits the song and what is needed in that music. So we don't want to just come up here and just start jamming, start playing real hard. But there's a lot of times like when we're starting off a song, and sometimes a lot of bands are using click tracks and a lot of bands are not using click tracks. A lot of churches are not using them. Some churches they're using wedge monitors, so there's no way that they can use a click. It would sound horrible if you would try to. But a lot of bands that's using in-ears, you don't know if they're using a click track or not. And so many times, like with us, we do not use clicks and we don't use any backing tracks. And I'm not against click tracks, but we just don't use them. Backing tracks, different story. I don't like those. That's my opinion, but that's beside the point. It's in another video. But many times when there's no drums and it's just an acoustic, you don't want to just be playing just a straight, like I was a moment ago, just that straight, just whatever, But you can put a beat to it where it's more of a... So seeing just a little something like that, you're putting a beat to it. You're not just strumming it. Of course, the strum is a beat as well. But when you put that little beat to it, you're giving everybody the beat without the drums being played. So you're establishing the rhythm a little bit more so than just the strum of the guitar. So tip number 3, your strum patterns matter. You want to make sure that you are choosing the correct strumming pattern. And a lot of people, their hand is going like this all the time because they're keeping the beat, but they may only be hitting the down strum and not hitting the up strum. And then when they need to, they'll end up hitting both of them when it calls for it. But their arm is moving the same way all the time. And that's a good practice as well with the acoustic guitar, so you stay on time, but you're not hitting every single string. And sometimes you're only hitting the top strings or only the bottom strings. So you just play around with your instrument, play around with your guitar, and see what fits best to the music. Not just what you like to hear, but also what fits best in the song. All right, and a bonus tip for worship musicians, for a worship acoustic guitar player, is if you have an electric guitarist, if you have a lead guitarist, let the lead guitarist lead. I know a lot of times if you play guitar, many times you play both electric and acoustic. And so when you go to the acoustic, you're still thinking electric, you're wanting to put lead riffs in and whatever. Let the lead guitar take the lead. Play less and be that acoustic feel. Be that acoustic player, So you're not fighting back and forth between the electric guitar and what the electric guitar is trying to play and what the acoustic guitar shouldn't be playing. Now, if it's a total acoustic set, that's a little bit different. You're going to be playing lead on the acoustic. Or if the song calls for a lead acoustic, that's different as well. But most of the time, most generally speaking, the acoustic is a rhythm instrument. It's not a lead instrument. And sometimes we get that mixed up. We think that a rhythm instrument needs to be playing in the background. But when you lead from the acoustic guitar, your acoustic guitar is a lead instrument, but it's not playing a lead part. I know that doesn't make sense sometimes. So your acoustic can be your lead instrument. You're leading from there, and everybody's following what you're playing, but you're playing a rhythm part, and your lead guitarist is playing the lead part. Most of the time, that's, in my thinking anyway, that's backwards, that you will follow the rhythm and the lead instrument kind of follows the rhythm instrument. So it's kind of backwards a little bit, I think, but rhythm is so much easier to follow than a lead player. If someone's leading and they're up here doing some riffs, you can't really follow where they're going. There's no chord structure to it most of the time. You can't hear the whole structure of the song and what's going on. If you already know the song, then it's different. But if you're just listening to somebody play some parts, that's all they're playing. Like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, but without the bass line, and with the acoustic guitar, it's so cool because you've got the bass strings, you got the high strings, you have all of it in one. So it can be your lead instrument. That bonus tip: let your lead guitarist play the lead guitar parts, and when you're on acoustic, stick to that rhythm most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So guys, that's it for today's video. I can say this was just 3 simple tips on leading from the acoustic. Check out down below, I'll put some links to a couple other videos that I found. One with Phil Wickham playing, I think he was on Praise Charts, I believe is what it was. Great video on talking about when it's just you and your guitar. And so he does a great video on just that subject. So check that out down below. Be watching for more videos like this. If you like this content, make sure that you give it a like and a share. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Help me out. And I'll see you guys next time on Church Talk. God bless.